Alright guys, welcome back. This is week 2, episode 1 of Zanalsin. I'm joined here with J-Man down here. J-Man, what's going on, man?
Hi!
I have
Hello, motherfucker!
I have with me Doc over here. What's going on, Doc?
You know.
I have Navix on this side. What's up, Navix? And then Narfi down on the bottom there. So what's everybody been up to for the last week? Anything new?
No. How come your alerts didn't go off?
It did.
You
have my stream muted.
No, I didn't. I heard the motherfucker.
Oh, I don't have the alerts set up on this screen. So anyway, anybody been playing any new games or anything?
No, I've been doing some professional coaching.
Yes, you have. You are correct. You are
Other
correct.
than that,
What are you coaching?
Coaching somebody trying to find a job.
there you go.
Oh.
Is it Josh?
Could be. Could very well be.
You can tell us.
Is it
We'll
Devin?
keep it a secret.
Yeah, I'm looking at potentially going. Well, I am going through the interview process right now to get on with the same company that Doc works for. So,
Wait, is he codenamed Bob?
No. Bob is someone different. Doc actually works for the company that I've been interviewing with. It's a very grueling and lengthy interview process, so I've been partnering with him through everything. So,
You hiring any programmers?
Is it a one-word strip club like Diamonds or Beef?
yes, it is.
It's a very lengthy and strenuous interview
Listen,
process.
McDonald's
Oh,
needs
God,
management. You guys stop.
Hey, I resent that.
All right, so
Beef at McDonald's.
all right, so I guess let's hop right
I'm
into
a
it. So,
kiosk at McDonald's.
last we left off, the group was turning in for the night after the meet and greet, where they spoke with the council members. Varro, in particular, is the one that they spoke with. So we decided that we're going to turn in for the night. The party had gotten some of the things that they needed, that they thought they might need. And then we're going to kind of pan in on the start of the next day. So you guys were set up in an inn. You're given rooms. As new members of the Zymad, you kind of just are guests in the town for now. So you wake up in the inn, and I'm gonna say that each of you was given your own room. So early in the morning, knock comes on your door, and it's just a simple rasp on the door. And then as you answer the door, there's no one there, but you would assume it to mean that it's time to begin the day. So how do we
need a perception check?
So how do we come in on you guys?
So typical inn, go downstairs, have some tavern breakfast.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So they have Western omelets.
Okay. So you go downstairs and you see that there's no one in kind of the what you would assume to be the bar area of the inn, except for the innkeeper, and what you would assume to be the barmaid, and they're just kind of standing there conversing amongst each other. Are we assuming that everybody comes downstairs, get your affairs together, comes downstairs about the same time?
I would assume so.
Okay.
Yeah. No dilly-dallying in this group.
Hold on, I have to get my shell on. I'm not decent.
So
I'm already
What?
ready and looking at
is
you
your shell
guys.
not like part of your body? Like
It is. That's the joke.
That's the joke.
Thanks for ruining it. But you're fine.
All
are
right,
we
so
told what was going to happen yesterday?
no, just that you would be assigned your mission in the morning.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So as you guys all kind of meet up in the the bar area of the inn, you see that the only two people that are currently standing there are the innkeeper and the barmaid, and they're kind of just conversing amongst each other. And then as you guys stand there and kind of like look around confused, figuring out what's next, you start to see other people that are emerging from their rooms as well, and you guys are kind of just standing a little bit off to the side talking to each other, and more people are kind of funneling down, and one of them approaches the innkeeper and says, so and you guys would overhear this. He says, so what are we doing today? And the innkeeper says, well, there's going to be food for you guys that's set up in the same place you ate yesterday, so you're welcome to join there. And then they'll kind of give you instructions further. That's set to kick off, and he pulls out his pocket watch and he says, in about 15 minutes or so.
Okay.
So we've got how long is it going to take us to get to the place where we were?
You're inside of a port, right? So a couple minute walk, not far.
Okay. I will look at the. I will address the party, not undress. Address. Were you all able
not that
to?
kind of orc.
Were you all able to secure all of your needed provisions?
Yeah.
I got weapons. I got a full belly. I got good companions. What else can I need?
They did say everything else was going to be provided for us.
Indeed.
I haven't paid for anything. They've given me everything for free.
I'm sure we pay for it in other ways.
Yes,
I'm
I
suspicious
too
of that
wonder
too.
when that bill will be due. We shall
Debt to be
see.
paid.
So just DM aside to the party, I will say that as you're kind of figuring out what you have and what you might need, you do recognize that you are all still wearing simple clothing, right? So none of you has secured any kind of armor of any kind.
I thought I was picking up a shield the night before.
Wait, did they say that they stripped
you
us
do
of
have a
the
shield.
armor?
Yes.
Oh.
You came in just your clothes, right? You didn't have
dope.
any armor with you.
So 10 plus
was-
dex
was
mod?
that would that have been something they would have picked up the night before, or was that not an option?
I'll retcon and say that if you do want to pick up armor, that you could have done that while you were getting your
Weapons.
your weapons and things. Yeah. Yep.
I wonder, what is it that each of you hopes to accomplish by joining the Zymod family?
I just want to explore.
You strike me as a man.
And I have none,
the high seas.
no other reasons. None.
I
No
just want
other
to have a
reasons.
purpose in life and find a family.
I too plunder the high seas and do enjoy a good adventure.
Very good. It seems as we are all here for our own reasons. Is there anything else we want to get done before we head to the meeting?
Quick aside, we are getting armor, right? Like we magically have it.
Yeah, we'll just retcon that you picked it up while you were there. So if you want to go ahead and add it to your sheet, anything within reason. I added your shield, Ryan.
Thank
Or
you.
Doc. So Quillock has a shield. Does anyone else
What's
need me
within
to
reason?
add their armor?
You may have to add mine.
Okay.
Oops. I didn't mean to do that. I know I have light armor. Dummy.
Let us proceed then. And I guess that I will turtle my way out the front door and follow along. I'm sure there's.
I'm
I'm not
already
the only
ahead of
person
you guys,
going there.
almost there.
Yeah, I mean,
She's gone.
there's no doubt. She's gone.
So anyone who is adding leather armor, that is +2 to your AC, I believe. Let me just.
You can just drag the thing to your inventory. It does it.
Who does it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Drag it to your sheet. I got studded leather. Does that, like
That's fine.
it's just
That's
like
within
one?
reason.
Okay.
I don't know how to do that.
Click the eye symbol and search for the armor you want. Open up your character sheet and drag that item onto your equipment area. It'll give you a little prompt that says drop it here, and it just adds it to your character.
I added it to yours already, Narky.
Rip.
Okay.
Yes, it sure does. And it does automatically add the AC as well, which is...
I guess it does matter shield-wise. Just shield. Okay.
Let me make sure, Kolok, that you're set up.
Yeah, doesn't he have some sort of quirk? Being a turtle and armor?
Yes,
I
his
come with a
his
natural
armor class
17.
is 17, but he can add a shield. He cannot wear armor.
Bruh.
I guess.
Where would I put it?
Jesus.
I mean,
Around your shell.
All right, Kolok, your shield has been added. It brought your armor class down to 17. Let's change that back to, or brought it down to 12. Let's change that back to 19. So
There we
you're
go.
good. All right, everybody else is okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
14.
I suppose.
I'm gonna give you studded leather armor, Minx. Okay, yeah, you have studded leather armor. That's a little better.
Did you say studded or stunted?
Yes, stunted leather armor. What?
I'm already studded.
AC should be 16.
That's what you think.
Okay. Alright. So we're good to go there. Okay, so we're all making our way to the hall for breakfast then, correct?
Yes. Now that we're fully equipped with weapons and armor,
Now that we've put on the armor we got last night.
yes. Clearly. I almost
Alright.
left the channel.
Wait,
oh god, please.
weren't you going to do post-game adventures?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Call. Good call.
Yeah.
Let's do some
I know what
post-game-
I'm doing.
Let's do some post-game adventures. Alright, so we'll start with Minx.
Josh, can you
Yes.
flip my camera horizontal 180 degrees so I'm not looking away from everybody on your stream?
I don't think I can, friend.
Why not?
You're gonna have to just turn yourself.
So I'm looking at nothing? I'm looking at the wall? Hello.
Yeah.
I will.
Hi.
Can't you do that in like
much
bot
better.
detect settings and shit?
I'm looking away into the corner.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
I'm pretty
actually-
sure you could have.
Yeah, I know in Cyberlink, the UCAM thing, I can pop it.
Switch Jay and I.
no.
Away from
No.
each other.
All right. So we'll do some post game adventures. I said I was going to start with Narfi, but I think I'm actually going to start with Cinderstone, because Cinderstone is kind of familiar with how the post game adventure thing works.
Yeah, because I invented it, asshole.
So
For stealing
Cinderstone,
my idea.
we
Yeah.
were looking for sailors and shady people to talk about finding a ship, right? So you were looking to procure a ship.
I'm in the
I
market.
was looking for a specific ship with a name.
Ah,
Not to grab it, but to, look
Gotcha.
for it.
okay.
Whispers and rumors.
Whispers and rumors. All right, so give me a percentile roll. And we'll go here. 77. Okay. So we're gonna say that you were able to find some people who recognize the ship to which you're referring. One of which actually recognizes your hat and questions you about it. So how do you respond to the question about your hat?
What do they recognize about it?
They know who it belongs to.
How do they approach me about that?
Well,
I guess it would depend how it works.
okay, so you go up to them and you ask them, I'm looking for this ship. And they say, well, this ship, that's captained by Cinderstone. And you say, I am Cinderstone. And they say,
Do I?
Well, do you?
I don't think I would if they know who it is.
Okay. They say, okay, so that ship that you're looking for, that's captained by Cinderstone. And you say,
Have they been to port lately?
not in this port. No one comes to this port unless they're joining the Zymad family, and Cinderstone are a proud bunch. I don't foresee them ever forsaking their name.
So
What
have
is
you
that?
heard of them in any other ports?
Well, that's what they do, isn't it? They were around, I'm sure. And
Any
he says,
named ports?
I recognize that hat. That hat belongs to Cinderstone, does it not?
I'm sure it did.
And how did you
I'm
come
just trying to return it. I won it in a bet.
Bet.
Give me a deception.
I bet you'll give me your hat if I stab you.
What's he gonna do? Stab me?
Hey, you got
Correct.
Hey,
everywhere.
Dad! Hey, Dad, look at that.
All right, so you sure did won it in a bet, and he says,
I sure did.
I'm impressed. I never knew Cinderstone to be the betting type, but as it were, last I saw them, they were in Port Gallo a few weeks ago, and you know where that is because that's
Yep.
Yep.
And a few weeks ago is when I was there.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll thank the sailors.
By the seas.
Yeah. it
Sing
was,
shanties with them. Then leave.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to J-Man. J-Man, you were looking around the bar to pick up on some rumors, talk to patrons, get information, locals, and new people. What kind of information are you looking to gather?
See if there's any seaworthy adventures we might want to partake in.
Go ahead and give me a percentile roll. So you roll a D100.
Dice. Hello. I gotta select from the drop down.
95.
Do /R D100.
Oh, okay.
95. So you definitely do come across some shady folks. And Matt, go ahead and change your drop down to make sure that you're rolling as your character in the future. So you come across some shady folks, right? And these shady folks tell you that while most of the adventures and missions are given to you by the council, there are always backdoor deals that go on, and you get a line for a group of people that refer to themselves as the Dark, and the Dark. And one of the people that you're talking to gives you a scroll, and the scroll is sealed with wax, and he says if you ever seek to find the Dark, you need only open the scroll and present it when you find them. So he kind of gives you a line on how you can get a hold of this group of people as well.
All right.
Okay.
Do I have any previous knowledge of these Dark?
You can give me a. I'll tell you what. Just go ahead and roll a d20, and actually roll. Roll. Let me pull up your character sheet quickly. It's going to be just a standard intelligence check, so just click on the word intelligence. It would be like a local information check, which doesn't really exist in 5th edition, so just a standard intelligence check.
Okay.
6, no. You don't have any information about them. You don't. They're kind of they're a backdoor secret organization, right? So they're not very public about what they know. But you do have a line on how you can get in contact with them now, which is a step in the right direction.
Neat.
Okay.
All right.
Let's move on then to Doc. Doc, you wanted to... That was your post-adventure. Go to the market, get prepared for adventure, find a shield, some material components for spells, praying, guidance, etc., backpack, blades, machete.
Doc? Yep,
Sorry.
And then go hang out with Weary.
Yep, and then hang out with Weary. So, is there anything particular that you want to accomplish, or are you kind of just collecting your things?
Collecting my things, obviously, with Weary being part of the town, just see if I can, if he has any knowledge of, what our mission might be, if he has any insight into, what is exactly being done to, overcome the blight that has befallen the land, and progress is being made, and just, follow that conversation and see if there's anything useful that I, as a druid, would use to improve my understanding of what we're up against.
Okay. So he kind of just reiterates everything that I explained to you guys prior to the beginning of the campaign. So your character has the knowledge that the land was cast in a blight and a plague by the unknown. He explains to you that most of the ports have been unlivable to this point. Everyone had convened at Port Crowler, and he kind of goes through the history with you, and he gives you some personal perspective on it as well, right? So the things that he's seen in his time there, and he tells you that while early with the Zymads, he also was in an adventuring party, but their fate is not public knowledge, and so I'll let you make a persuasion check to see if you can convince him to tell you more, because it's kind of hush-hush what happened to his party.
Okie dokie. Let's see. Persuasion check.
Okay, so a natural failure. Unless, did you want to roll that with advantage? I don't know that you have...
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you have
I
advantage.
did. I'm sorry.
So, we'll take the first one because it's not with advantage, and he's not willing to tell you any information about it. Like, you don't necessarily offend him by continuing to push the subject because you're kind of wise enough that you know when to cut off the conversation. But he starts to get to the point where he's getting a little offended by the questions that you're asking about the party, and you can see that this is something that, while he would love to discuss it with you, he's sworn to quiet. So
Okay.
You don't find out much about what happened with this party, but you do know that he used to be out adventuring, and you know that the blight is something that was done to the land by the unknown.
So, if he was an adventurer, does he have? Because we don't know anything about what our mission's going to be. Does he have any insight to offer as to what we might be asked to do? General terms.
He does tell you that at the beginning, most adventurers are set on scouting parties. So go check this area, see what's going on, run these specific tests that are given to you by the council to kind of learn where that port is at as far as the level of desecration that still exists there. You're going to be looking for people that are still inhabiting the port, if there are any. And when he starts to talk about the people that may still be inhabiting the port, he kind of trails off and gets a little quiet and realizes that maybe he overstepped what he should be talking about. And that's kind of the extent of the information that you get from him.
All right, I won't push him.
Okay.
I'll just enjoy a pipe with him.
Sure. All right, and then finally, Minx, you wanted to watch the people, enjoy some festivities, and potentially overhear some chatter. So go ahead and roll me a percentile so you can /R space D100 to see if you pick up on anything. 93. All right. Holy cow. All right, so yeah, you hear some stuff. You, while listening to some of the musicians and the vocalists and things like that, you catch one group of people that are kind of standing off to the side having a conversation, and they think that they're being quiet, but you're kind of everywhere and you're small enough that you encroach in the conversation and you start to listen in and no one really catches. And so you hear them talking about the reason why they're here. And the reason why they're here is because their family was killed by the Zymads. And they were put in a party all together, and they're starting to put the pieces together that each one of them comes from a similar background of their family resisted the Zymads, and their whole family is dead and gone now. And they're kind of piecing these things together where they don't have a choice. They have to be here. So do you talk to them, or do you just listen?
I just listen.
Okay. All right.
I mean,
so
when am I supposed to go up to? I'm not sure if I feel comfortable going up to them.
probably not. This group of people is kind of the bitching, griping people at the office, where you feel like your best course of action is probably to just avoid getting into conversation with them.
Yeah, I feel like though I may have inched up closer, but they don't notice me.
Yeah, absolutely. They're pretty set in their conversation, and I don't think that they would notice that a halfling is overhearing what they're talking about. But that is definitely an interesting piece of information that no one else in the party has. That they don't want to be there. They're not there by choice. They're being forced to be there by the Zymads as reparations for what their family did, and their entire family is dead and gone. And they were mysteriously chosen in the lottery to be in the same group.
So I feel like they could sabotage, or I mean, they're being here by force.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. All right. So that kind of wraps up the post game stuff. So, all right, back to we're heading to the hall. So you guys enter the banquet hall, and same thing that you saw the previous day. Long tables throughout, clad with food. There are quite a few people in there that are already eating. There are some people that are still kind of gathering themselves and entering the hall, and the council is all still at the very front, and they're eating as well. So
I will look at Cinderstone and Berberil and say, I suppose we find the halfling.
What you're missing out on.
Seems like a very tough task. Can we get some food first? I'm sure she's bound to be near there.
I'm already at the table eating, waiting for you guys to show up.
But we can't find you. Where are you?
What?
What are
I'm
you
sure
wearing?
there's a buzz of activity.
Well, I'm around other people, I suppose. It's kind of sit down and start eating.
Okay. All right, so you guys join her at the table where she's already set up shop and is already eating.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Ask her what's good.
What is good, young halfling?
Well, someone would say something about turtle soup, but I said no.
Oh, I take great offense. Aren't you aware that one of our friends
That's why I said
is a
no.
turtle? I don't partake.
It was not long ago that some lizard men had the same thought. They will not be thinking such things for a long time.
Well, then I look at him and laugh. I was obviously telling a joke.
Josh, connect our beds again.
I appreciate your lightheartedness, young halfling. You may prove to be the voice of reason and light in dystopian area. And then I shoved my face full of food.
Okay, good. So everybody's kind of eating, talking. Are you guys just sticking to your party, having conversation amongst yourselves, or are you attempting to listen in on other people's conversations? Are you maybe engaging anyone else in conversation?
I want to listen to others' conversation, and if something piques my interest, I want to walk over and maybe interject.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a perception roll then.
I'm trying to get that up. 420 is not being happy right now. Perception?
Yep.
Eat.
All right,
Okay.
you don't hear a whole lot of anything with a 4, so just it's loud, it's chaotic. There's a lot going on, a lot of people talking. You can't really hone in on anything in particular. I'm sure that you could probably hear the people sitting directly next to you, but anything that they talk about that they intend to keep in quiet, they do so successfully. So
They do a pretty good job.
so, all right. So, as everyone is kind of starting to lean back in their chairs and unbutton the button on their pants, and Thanksgiving meal is over.
Why am I
Everybody's
unbuttoning my pants?
full.
Kind
I
of meal
thought
is
we were
this?
eating.
Don't look at me when you do that. I may be the
Amarna,
right height, but
Amarna stands and addresses the room again, and that same voice over your shoulder that happened. You kind of get that feeling again, right? And so she addresses the room and she says, "Good morning, Zymads." And there's a small cheering section, right? So some of the people are pretty excited and they're clapping. And she says,
Pretty good morning.
She says, I hope that everyone found the food to their satisfaction. She says, yesterday I think was a very successful night of fellowship and meeting. We had a lot of very good stories this morning about some positive interactions, which I think is very important. And she says, our goal for today is just information. So we're going to start to address each of our adventuring parties individually and make the expectations clear on what it is that you'll be doing while you're here. And so she says, we welcome any questions, but at the conclusion of the ceremony, we'll seek counsel with you individually. And as she's talking, someone is walking around the room and handing out to each of the parties small scrolls that have times written on them. And you would assume that these are the time slots when you're gonna have council, and so right now it's early. I'll say it's probably the equivalent of like 7 o'clock in the morning. It's very, very early, and your time slot is for about a half an hour from now, which seems to be one of the earlier ones. As you listen to the people griping that theirs is late afternoon, late morning, and you guys have gotten one of the earlier time slots. So she thanks everybody one final time and returns to her seat. But before she sits, she says, "Everyone is welcome to stay and partake as long as you'd like. But if you'd like to return to the market, you're excused." She basically you guys can go if you want to. And as she sits down, the table on the right hand side with the 4 council members that were, the 3 council members that were sitting there previously, they get up and they exit through a curtain behind them. And on your scroll also gives you kind of a very crude drawing of where it is that you're supposed to meet. So they're making it pretty obvious where you're expected to go. So is there anything that you guys want to do in the interim between now and a half an hour from now when your council meeting is set?
What was this room again? Is it like a big auditorium?
Where you're at now is kind of just a large banquet hall.
Is the band that I was listening in there?
Inside the hall, there's no entertainment or anything, but out in the market square, same thing as usual. There's people telling stories and singing and playing instruments and things like that.
Murphy, did you mean the group of people you were overhearing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The group of people that you were listening to, they're there.
Okay. I just want to kind of look over at them. Like, I don't trust them to do.
Did we all get a scroll, or did we collectively get one scroll?
Collectively.
And it says it's about half an hour?
Yep. It would have probably been handed to Quelloc, I'm sure.
Okay.
It seems we have drawn an early lot. I am sure each of you is as anxious as I to set out from this place.
Well,
For our time, I am going to enjoy a pipe, if anyone would care to join me.
I'm going to keep scarfing down the food here because the food in this banquet hall is amazing.
I don't know how all of you can remain so calm when our mission is still on shore.
What is it? What is it that you would? How would you have us react, Cinderstone?
Onshore, offshore. I'm good either way.
So he's the druid, right? He was technically like put on our team formed around him, so he's like the point of authority for us. Kind of.
Wait, while you guys do yours, I'm gonna go poop.
In character or IRL?
Oh, in character.
Okay.
Women don't poop? What?
Bring the camera.
I'm talking to
It's a whole different type of stream. Change the category now.
So, I mean, out of character, I think the idea is that they see the druids as some sort of conduit to solving whatever problem it is. So I guess by de facto, right, they are addressing me, but I don't get the feeling from me that I think that gives me any sort of
Authority.
leadership authority. Yeah,
Right, but at this point, we've never been shown real authority. We've all been called brothers and sisters. There's no hierarchy of rank that we've seen, and all we know is the druids were put on a stage, made a grand ceremony around them, and then our team formed around them.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
Like-
I would act in the assumption that you have more information than you're giving us, and you're acting extremely calm, which is a little weird.
I gotcha. Well, I know I have not been privy to information that you have not been given. Why the Zymods have called us here, why they act as they do.
Yeah.
Is it that they would have us do? I am like you in that I am waiting to see what is revealed next. I will admit some growing discomfort. Things seem to be out of the natural balance.
Okay. Well, if a pipe calms you from that uncertainty, by all means.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have plenty and I will gladly share.
I'll move my feet every once in a while.
Okay. All right, so you guys step outside for a pipe, and Cinderstone, you partake as well.
Would I have come across this stuff in my time spent abroad?
I don't think so. I don't think that there would have been very many druids on your journeys. And this stuff in particular is, while it's not exclusive to druids, it is much more common amongst the druids.
By the way, my intention here is not to get baked out of my mind and see how well I do on the test. It's more of a the sustaining that all druids and turtles in particular enjoy.
Okay. I will take a cautious hit.
Okay.
A dab, if you will.
Something that you've never experienced before. Go ahead and give me a Constitution saving throw.
Okay, and it's ayahuasca. Great.
Okay, yeah, you're okay. You get a little bit of a
Good.
get a little bit of a head rush, but it's not anything that's like crippling or anything like that. You just get a little bit of a head rush.
I
Feels
see
good.
him, and it gives me the confidence to also join in.
Hey, kid, want a hit?
All right, so we have a
Make the Dare campaign proud. Let's go.
I'm the pusher man.
we have a pusher. All right, go ahead and give me a Constitution saving throw, Bell roll. Yep, same thing. You get a little bit of a head rush. You get kind of like a warm tingling sensation that goes throughout your whole body, but nothing crippling or anything like that. So,
I'll
Are they out
ask
there
them if they
smoking
want
pot?
Yeah.
ask them if they want another hit.
That's pretty good.
Remind them the first one's free.
Can I just
Second
be
one
out
will
there
cost you a
watching?
pointy thing.
I'm just out there watching them. So
Sure. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, does anyone take a second hit, or are we good after the first one?
Well, me,
No.
Well, obviously,
obviously.
I feel like
Okay.
if I get too close, I might get high from being near
Torch
them.
the ball.
Might be
Contact
the
high.
first time your character's high in any regard.
She climbed up a ladder one time. All right, so half an hour goes by. You guys are just kind of hanging out, listening, talking, smoking, having a good time, and you start to get pretty close to your council meeting time. So we set off, and as you guys approach the building that's drawn out for you on the map, there's a gentleman standing outside.
I'm still on like a gravel road.
So you approach the guy outside, and he says, "Welcome, young Zymads. Quellok, I presume." And he addresses you specifically.
My name is Quillick. You may call me Quillick.
He kind of chuckles a little bit. And he says, "I believe I'll call you Quellok, if that's okay. Right this way. The council is waiting for you." And he draws open the door to the building, and inside the building, it's very dimly lit. And as you enter the building, there's a scent of sage, and it's a very calming atmosphere. There's a very slight warm mist throughout the whole place. It's, like I said, it's very dimly lit, and it's partitioned into 3 rooms. So you have the main room in the middle, and then the 3 rooms that are partitioned off. And he motions for you to enter the left room. And the left room has a very ornate purple and gold kind of curtain in front of it, and he motions for you to enter. So
I'm gonna step aside so I don't get run over by the halfling, and follow her
Good call.
into the. I'm sure she's headed into the room, excited, and I will
Headed into the dark.
follow along.
all right, so
Can't
you
hit ahead
guys-
on anything.
You guys, you enter the room, and as you enter the room, Varro is sitting at the far end of the room on the same thing that you Quillok saw when you were with Weary. It's a very personable room, right? So there are like beanbag type things sitting on the floor, and he's sitting at the far end of the room. And as you enter, he greets you very warmly, and he stands and he bows deeply, and he says,
Is he
says,
purr?
"Young, huh?" He
Does
does
he
not.
purr?
He does not purr. He says, "Young Zymads, please have a seat." And he motions for you to sit down on the beanbags.
Okay.
So everybody comes in, sits down on the beanbags, and he says, "I think." What's that?
Got it.
Yeah.
I have no reason to think I'm in any kind of danger.
Sure. What I will say is that when you enter the room and the curtain draws behind you, any of the sound that was going on outside of that curtain is completely gone. You can only hear what's happening within the room that you're in. So if there were to be another adventuring party that were in here at the same time, you would be none the wiser, just like they would not be able to overhear your conversation that's taking place between you and the councilman. So you come in and you sit down, and go ahead.
Can I see more?
Can
So-
you
Are any of the other curtains closed? Did we notice on the way by?
Yes,
Yeah.
all of the curtains were drawn.
So
Except
it's
for the one
dimly
we're going
lit. So can I see something that I'll know that nobody else can see?
No, it's not. It's not dark by any means. It's like I said. There's probably a couple of small lanterns, but overall, it's intended to keep kind of a calm and inviting atmosphere. It's not dark enough that it's intended to hide anything from anyone.
Okay.
So, Varro says, I believe some introductions are in order. And he says, you all know my name, and Quellok, as I'm sure you would have gathered by now, we all know yours, but I'd like to get to know each of you a little better. And so he says, who do I have the pleasure of meeting with today?
Hi, I'm Minx.
He says,
So-
Minx, we've
Yeah.
become well acquainted. He says, I'm very happy that your excitement persists.
I thought you wanted to know my name again. I'm sorry.
He kind of chuckles a little bit. And he kind of averts his attention to Cinderstone, and he says, I don't believe I've caught your name.
I'm just a humble sailor.
A humble sailor, is that what I shall call you?
Do I get the feeling that if I reveal my name, it's going to be a threat to me? I'm not supposed to be here with things from my past.
No. They're not asking you to change your name to I am.
But what if he
Zymad.
came with a title,
Oh,
right?
Zymad.
Or have I given them my name already at some point, regardless? And
No
I
one's
gave
asked.
Cinderstone.
No one's asked.
Oh, I feel like if I give it, it's gonna be shit. I'll just say Cinderstone.
Okay. He says Cinderstone Zymad. Has a ring to it, don't you think?
Cinderstone's my family name.
What's your first name? Steve.
I don't have a first name.
Steve Cinderstone.
He says,
First-
Can we
name is
retcon that?
Sin.
Can I be Steve now?
he says, well, your new family name is Zymad, but I'll honor Cinderstone. So, the feeling that you're getting from what he says is that, while you have always gone by your family name and not had, another name that you go by, your new family name is Zymad, and so most people will probably call you Zymad, but if you choose that you want to drop your first name and go by Cinderstone Zymad, then that's what it'll be, and that'll be your way of paying homage to your former life.
I won't respond to being called Zymad, but
Okay.
I gave him the name Cinderstone.
Okay. So henceforth is Cinderstone Zymad. Okay.
Which one's the first name?
Cinderstone would be your first name.
Good. I'll leave it there then.
Okay.
Let the cat do the cat thing.
All right, and then he motions to Belrill and he says, "And what shall I call you?"
Belrill.
Carl.
He
I'm
says,
kind of looking over him like, I do it with hesitance.
"Okay."
There's some who call me Tim.
Tim the Enchanter. He says, young Zymads, this is not an interrogation. While I fully understand your skepticism, know that I'm not the enemy. I am here to be your voice to the council. Every party is assigned a councilman to speak on their behalf if necessary and to support them in anything they should need, and I am that for you. There's no...
To be fair, Vara, we haven't been pointed at an enemy yet.
As I said, I do understand your skepticism, Cinderstone, and I respect that, and I don't expect that you'll trust me overnight, but understand that I'm here to serve you as you are to serve New Reinhaven. We all have our place, we all have our duties and our job, and this is mine.
If I may be so bold, my friends and I are wondering exactly how it is we are to serve family, as you said.
Well, you have amongst you two members of your crew that have previously been a part of sailing and exploration. You yourself, Quelloch, have been one of exploration and discovery. We seek to use everyone's skills in a way that they can serve us within their capacity. So you being a member of exploration in your previous life and knowing interactions with other people and these two and emotions to Belrill and to Cinderstone, he says, being adept at the seas, it would only make sense that you would go out and explore, discover, scout, bring back information.
Pillage.
Do you say that in character?
Yes. I try finishing a sentence like these
Sure.
are things I'm after.
He gets a pretty good kick out of it. He says, pillage, plunder, whatever you'd like to call it.
Quirks my interest.
Sure.
Right? Can I go
Yo ho. The old pirate high five.
Yo ho.
Where you just take the claw hand, you just clink it together.
And so he says to you guys, he says, one of the local ports, Port Gallo, has recently had some new travelers and have reached out to us with some concern about their well-being. So first and foremost, we'll have you go to Port Gallo as ambassadors for the Zymads, and when you're there, I'd like for you to gather more information about these travelers that have come to Port Gallo recently, and figure out if there is reason for concern by those who live in Port Gallo.
So it is the citizens we are concerned with, not the travelers?
The travelers who arrived in Port Gallo, the citizens of Port Gallo, reached out to us with some concerns about their well-being.
About
the travelers' well-being.
The travelers. What seems to be afflicting the traveler?
It's lost its light.
We don't know. He says that's why we want to send you there to find out. What the citizens of Port Gallo have told us is that they're exhibiting strange behaviors, and they're concerned that they may be afflicted by the plague, but have no way of testing to find out. And they're currently keeping the travelers in quarantine until we send someone there to look at them and discern whether it's a reason for concern or not. As you know, the plague has in the past desiccated land and all of the inhabitants of it. We have gotten a pretty good hold on keeping it from spreading, and we're seeing that it's starting to dissipate significantly, but we don't want another outbreak to reverse any of the work that we've done thus far.
Well, surely you see that none of us are affected with the plague. How are we to know what this plague looks like? How are we to discern if we have no previous knowledge of such symptoms?
He responds with, I believe you have you've had interactions with a man by the name of Weary most recently. Is that correct?
Here's a man.
You know this to be true, yes.
He says, Weary is our resident expert on the symptoms of early onset of the plague. He says, I would recommend that you go and speak with him about the ways to identify the symptoms.
Weary is an expert at those that are weary.
And so, how are we to travel to this port?
Our docks are full of ships that will be provided for you. Normally, under typical circumstances, we would provide for you a crew to take you where you need to go. But as you have people who are accustomed to the sailing ways, I don't believe that a crew would be necessary in your situation.
Avasti sails. Throw Minx overboard. Yo ho.
Do you think she's gonna get so excited she just runs and slips off the deck and then just,
Yeah.
I can't help but picture the little chicken from Moana every time you guys talk about bringing
That's it.
Mix with you.
That's it. What was the chicken's name in Moana?
hey,
Hey,
hey.
yeah, hey. Okay.
You're welcome.
don't summon Devin.
So he acknowledges the fact that you have 2 adept sailors with you and that they'll be the ones that are kind of piloting the ship, right? So he says, first and foremost, you'll travel to Port Gallo and you'll report back with your findings and handle it as necessary. And he hands it to Quelloc. He hands you a pin. And this pin is the same golden kraken that was on the lapel of everyone as you entered Port Zymad.
The golden one?
Yep. And it has the 2 green emerald eyes. And he hands it to you. And he says, this is you to Quelloc. Yep. He says, this is your decree to do what's necessary to handle it if there is a plague outbreak. We expect that you'll handle it accordingly.
I will take the pin and I will look at it, and then I will look at my shell and say, we have some advice as to where I can pin this?
He looks at the rest of the party members and he goes,
I'll carry it.
Okay, yeah, sure. He looks at Minx and he goes,
Is that how this works?
One is very excited to take the burden of the pin. He says, while it has been given to you, understand, Quelloc, that you are the point of contact for the council
Ringer.
amongst your party, but that doesn't mean that you have to carry the burden of this.
Young Minx, I am truly in awe of your excitement. However, for now I will carry this burden. Perhaps in the market I may find a suitable chain in which to don this around my neck.
Could we just get him like a little Boy Scout sash where we just like put it over his shoulder and we just mark all the little pins and insignias he has?
All of his patches.
Yeah.
He gets one for helping an old lady cross the road.
Best.
That's
Skull.
fine, Quelloc. If
Badges.
you ever need any help, I'm here.
I appreciate that.
I pat
More
his
than you know.
shell. Like,
Put the pin.
All right.
Prison wallet?
Yeah.
So
Bag of holding.
Varro says to you, if ever you need any questions answered or have any concerns, know that you need only seek me out. Any of the members of council can help, but I will be your liaison to Shinhua and to Amarna. He says,
So
does anyone have any further questions?
So you handed that pin to Quelloc, as in, like, if you see the plague or you see it's what it does,
Yeet the town.
like, what am I supposed to do with the pin? Am I supposed
This is
to
permission
use it as a-
to just fire sail the whole town.
This is my permission slip.
essentially no one's going to question us
Your
because
hall
we have
pass.
this pin now?
He says, I would expect that you'll act in a way becoming of a Zymad, but this pin is your support from the Zymad to make difficult decisions.
Well, all I know of the Zymad is they make you go to a place, they take all of your shit, and then they make you part of their family. So what we have to do is go to the town, steal all of their shit, and convert them to Zymadism.
Yeah.
Then we're acting in best of the way.
Is this an in-character declaration?
I believe his character probably would have said something along those lines.
Yeah.
Okay.
Varro says
Yo ho.
the angst of some is offset by the excitement of others, I see. I believe that we chose well when assembling this party. The yin and yang, if you will. And he looks at Minx
It's just
and
my
he
bitter
says,
ignorance.
he looks at Minx and he says, I believe that you'll be the voice of reason in this party.
If they listen to me.
She's gonna get us into trouble.
If you're even here, you'll just fucking sprint off to the next state.
Yeah, you know, it's really good that we're gonna be on a ship. We can finally corral you. You know, maybe
She
keep you
takes a
couple of decks
lifeboat.
below.
Just what they use to tie people to the mast.
No, she's so small, she just puts herself into a cannon and just launches herself to the nearest island.
I was taking a nap, and next thing I knew, I was flying in the air.
All right,
Hey,
so
Minx,
Varro
don't
says,
sleep in the cannons anymore.
Varro says to the party, he says, does anyone have any further questions?
I think that
I mean,
my companion Cinderstone does make a good point. When we come to the Zymad family, do not know necessarily the Zymad way is.
okay, that's what I was
With
going to ask anyway.
With these folks we have concerns with. Please
What
enlighten
color were
us
what
as
color were the
to-
eyes on the pin?
Green.
Green.
as to what a typical Zymad solution might be, should we find they are indeed
So he says to you, while I do understand, Quelloc, that you're not, you haven't been with us very long, I believe that who we are has been portrayed to you in many ways. He says, we are accepting. We do not judge based on past lives. We only ask that you display those same things. So make decisions based on what is best for the restoration of New Reinhaven, as that is our primary goal. If you're asking me specifically if these travelers are inflicted with the plague, if I'm asking you to kill them, my answer to you would be that the Zymad will support your decisions. So if you believe that the only way to keep this from spreading and taking over Port Gallo is to kill those members, to kill those travelers, then you will have the support of the Zymads. If you believe that there is a way that you can handle this more diplomatically, then I would hope that you will seek those options first.
So if we convince the plague to leave their bodies, we're good. Right? If we intimidate the plague?
So, at this point, he's getting a little annoyed with Cinderstone, right? Like, you're taking everything that he says incredibly literally, and you're just being contrarian for the sake of it. And so he's getting a little annoyed with you at this point, but he's not necessarily showing it yet. But in the way that he's kind of talking through his teeth now, you're kind of picking up on it. And so he says,
I'm showing my disdain for the fact that we're getting no information, no clear cut, this is what you're supposed to do. No, everything has been vague. There has not been a single clear thing besides the armor that was given to us. Everything is just smoke and mirrors. So my sass is the disdain from having no information. And I'm making that pretty clear with my body language and demeanor towards this guy.
Cinderstone, I understand your considerable angst. However, I think perhaps part of our journey within this family is to see how we handle things. What is our true nature? While it is true, our instructions are not clear, bro. I understand the spirit of the quest in which you have given us. I think it is now time for us to part and to see what we can make of these refugees. Should we find a situation beyond our control, may indeed return and ask for further guidance. For now, I believe action is the pertinent direction.
And as you finish your speech, Varro stands, and he goes, I believe that's about as well as it could be put. He says, if you have any specific questions, I will give you direct answers. If you're looking for me to explain to you what your steps should be from start to finish, understand that I am not your captain, Cinderstone. You are free to make decisions of your own, and you have our support in making those decisions. The only thing that we can't fix is indecision.
When he says captain, do I get the feeling that he's
being condescending?
Okay.
100%. He's telling you, listen, while I understand that in your past you have always had to defer to someone else's very specific instructions, that is not what we're about here. We are here to support you and give you basic instructions on what we want to accomplish, and it's up to you to go out and see these things through. And if you have any specific questions about what's next, we'll answer those questions. But if you're looking for him to tell you, sail to this port, kill these travelers, make everyone feel warm and fuzzy about it, grab some samples of the water and come back, he's not going to give you those specific instructions. He's given you, this is what we want to do.
I think my character is way too young to pick up on that shit, so I'm just going to assume he would cross his arms and just brush everything off and let the rest just take its course.
Okay. If you don't already have inspiration, go ahead and mark the inspiration. So as he finishes what he says to you, he says, so, adventurers, I'm always here for you, but now is the time for action, as Quellac has so wisely said. If you need any additional information, feel free to come and find me. And he bows very deeply and kind of waits for you to exit the room.
Who's marking inspiration? Me or Matt?
The party. The party.
Because I just roleplayed the shit out of that, boy.
Yeah, the party. All right. So
I have another out of character question.
Okay.
So I bounced into the chat channel where Narfi was asking for a break, and I want to bounce back into the video channel, but I don't want to reset. Do I just click on that same link and it'll put me right back?
Yeah, just click on the link.
Okay. All right. I just didn't want to
Yeah, that's good.
There we go. Okay. Sorry.
All right.
I just
And
like to say
so on that note, I think that's probably a good place for us to go ahead and take our first break. So if you're watching here on Twitch, we'll be back here in just a couple of minutes. If you're watching here on YouTube, we'll see you tomorrow.